Hey, welcome back to Hire Rockstar Talent. We're going to finish a conversation that we started last week. We were talking about why our franchise is really worth it. Are the royalty fees really worth it? And we went through 7 reasons why, even with inflation and the insanity today of pricing, and why it's still worth it. Heck yeah, it's still worth it to do a franchise. And we listed out all those reasons why. Now we're going to talk about the other side. The 10 reasons why you shouldn't do a franchise. You know, the things that people, you don't always get told when you're researching about a franchise. You know, sometimes a franchise, people see people that have franchises and they see the Cadillacs and they see that they go on vacation. What they're missing is the 20 years of misery and pain that these guys have gone through to get to that point. They just want to skip all of those years of those painful parts of the process and skip all the way to the end. So there's some things that those guys had to deal with that you're not seeing when you're, just seeing the money and you're already spending the money that you haven't made yet. The number one thing is startup costs. Have you ever felt that you can't open a business because you don't have enough money? Well, to open up, just for instance, like a Dunkin' Donut franchise, you have to pay what's called an initial franchise fee. You have to pay up front to use the name for 20 years. So McDonald's charges $45,000, $50,000 for that initial franchise fees. You haven't even started the process yet. That's what you got to pay just to get started. Dunkin' in New England, it's $120,000. So that's up front. Now, you also have to have a net worth because they want to make sure that they have a certain type of operator that's coming in. It's not someone that's going to be strapped with cash. So they want you to have a net worth of $500,000 to $1 million out of the gate. And they want you to have $500,000 in liquid money. So that feeling that you had, I don't have enough money up front to start, there's some truth to it if you want to be in a franchise. And remember, these are upfront costs. You haven't even started all of the rest of the process of picking a site, equipment, and doing plans and all of the next round of stuff that's about to come. The other thing is uncertain profitability. When you start with a franchise, they make you sign a document and they give you, because it's the law, it's called an FDD document, the Franchise Disclosure Document. And this is a massive document. In some cases, it's 600 pages long. It's so big and so girthy that you don't even read it. And that's what they want, right? That's what many franchises want. Because in this document, they have, mock plans and they have average sales. They don't tell you the real sales and what people's profitability is. They estimate things and average things. But they also put some things in there that if you dig deep enough, it's public information, but by law, they have to put it in there, like lawsuits. Who's suing them? And I remember when I looked at the Quiznos FDD document, 15 years ago, but when I saw that 80% of the franchisees were suing Quiznos, that should tell you that there's something going on here, and this may not be the best move. So that FDD document is very important. But that uncertain profitability, you're going to have to determine. So if you don't have a history in the business that you're trying to franchise and look into, you got to get some advice. You got to go talk to people that are in the same business because, if you don't know the numbers, and with COVID, what happened when the pandemic happened is people went into some of these businesses, just like we did too. We thought costs were going to be a certain thing, and then things doubled, right? Electric doubled. All the utilities doubled. Our health costs doubled. So it just blew all our performers out of the water. So now we had to readjust the business and our marketing and our strategy on the fly because all of these costs around us were very volatile. There's another piece that you got to really pay attention to that could hurt you when you get into a franchise. It's called proximity, right? So I know many times you've heard, oh, we'll just buy the whole territory. Well, it doesn't quite work that way anymore. There was a time when, yes, that was true. It's not today. So imagine this, right? Imagine you spend your life savings, you build this, say it's a sub shop franchise you're trying to get into, and you build your Anytime sub franchise. And then down the street, a casino goes in, and the franchisor, the Anytime franchisor, sub franchisor, decides they're going to put that unit in. And because it's there, it's going to now impact any growth that you would have had. So this is one of the things. These franchises, they have this in the agreement that they have the right to operate anywhere that they want. Or they could even allow a bigger franchisee to come in. They could deny you the site and allow someone else to come in. And this happens all the time to people. Now, let's say that you, for some reason, had to sue the brand, right? Say you know, the brand did some things to you, they didn't tell you everything, they lied to you, whatever it was, and you were very frustrated. In your franchise agreement, you can't sue them. It's called no recourse. So doesn't matter how you were wronged, you literally signed an agreement that said that you could not sue them. Now, the Federal Trade Commission, you know, this is their job to protect us, the people that are being wronged by big franchises, from stuff like this. And they only handle 1 or 2 cases a year, if that. So no one's really policing this. Today's episode is sponsored by Heavenly Donuts. Tired of frozen egg sandwiches? What about fresh scrambled eggs instead? Visit us at Heavenly Donuts, 36 South Main Street, Derry, New Hampshire. The next one is those royalty fees, right? You know, those royalty fees are coming directly out of, you know, they're a direct expense every week that you got to pay. So now what happens quickly is if the brand isn't engaging with you, now much bigger brands like, you know, the Dunkins and the McDonald's and the Burger King, these guys are very big at marketing and doing certain things, right? But some of the smaller franchises that are just starting, that maybe only have like 100 locations, very quickly you're going to feel like, what the hell am I paying these guys for? Right? And then here's the big piece, is that now you're paying royalty fees, you've paid these massive initial franchise fees, you've paid to build out and have, you know, you had to follow their planogram and their colors and their looks, so you probably had to spend extra money to just to build out the facility and to start operating. And then now, when something like minimum wage goes up, everything goes up with it, right? You thought you know, you had a profitability model and a pricing model, and then now something like minimum wage goes up, and it causes a domino effect in the whole industry. So minimum wage, if minimum wage goes up for you, it's going up for the person that's manufacturing your food and the person that's manufacturing your boxes, and, you know, all of the suppliers that are in the wheelhouse, right? That are, you know, that you're buying products from. So what does this mean? This means now it's a domino effect down to you and everybody else. Your prices go up. So you have to pass that domino effect on to your customers, and you have to raise prices. Now, your thinking is, oh, I just raised prices, I recapture that, I'm back on Easy Street. But there's something that happens when you raise prices. There's more things that happen that we don't pay attention to. So now, all the things that are related to you that are based on your sales go up as well. So you raising prices, actually you get nothing for it, because now your meals tax goes up to the state, because the state they're basing that off of your sales, right? Your royalty fees to the brand now go up. They did nothing different. The industry changed around them. They get paid more money. You make less money because of that one change. Your landlord, if you're on a percentage rent with your landlord, now the rent goes up to the landlord. No, it's like you're just getting hit with death by 1,000 cuts. Oh, let's not forget about credit card fees that are based off of your sales, right? So all of these things. So just that little price increase doesn't cover everything. So now you end up being in a situation where you're actually bleeding and you have less profitability. So now independence, right? So you bought into a brand. You drank their Kool-Aid now. You got to do things the way that they do it. So, you know, it's funny. I remember this when I was with a national brand before. I came out with some different products, and they were actually old products that the company used to make, and we stopped making them for some reason. I never knew why. So I started making some of the products, and it was the coolest thing, because a lot of customers really got excited about it because of some of the nostalgia products. And the newspaper came. And the newspaper came and did an article on me, took pictures of me in the store, and I got creamed by the brand. I got notices to quit on the franchise agreement, people showing up wanting to shut the door on the store, all because, you know, they said, oh, you can't do that anymore, but never told anybody why. They just discontinued some products, and then the minute we put them back out there, it was like, you know, holy hell had broken loose. They want you in a box, right? They want it to be the same as it is in Texas, as it is in Maine. And that's the experience they want for the customer. And I appreciate that. But, you know, when I used to hear this from the brand, I'd say it was a franchisee that discovered the Big Mac because they tried something. And now the Big Mac is one of their top 5 selling products. So sometimes, I understand the franchise's need for consistency and to have everything the same, but at the same time, you can't squash everybody's creativity. So if you want to be creative, then a big box brand is not for you. And this is one of the reasons why I left. I like to create things, and I have a lot of ideas and things that I want to do. And if you're in a brand, sometimes you feel like a robot. Now that works for some people. For others, it doesn't. And if you challenge this, the brand is going to say to you, you signed up for a brand. You signed up to offer our menu and the way we do things. So, you got to remember that you lose some of your independence when you do this. The next thing we're going to talk about is supply chain. There was a benefit to supply chain, which I said in the other podcast. The benefit to supply chain is, buying power, right? But now, in this case, with supply chain, you have to buy what the franchisee approves for you. So a lot of times what franchises will do is they'll tell you, you're using this brand of food product. They'll tell you that because they make deals with the manufacturer, many times they're getting kickbacks and a percentage. So some of that buying power that, they're taking a piece of it and passing the expense on to you. I'll be honest with you, if I owned a franchise, I'd do that too. But you lose those privileges and that competitive advantage because you have to be forced into where they want you to be in regards to the supply chain. Now, advertising. You're obligated as a franchisee to pay into the marketing pool. Now, with some brands, it's the best thing you ever did because, there's TV commercials, you're on the side of the road. However, you're also like a little fish in a giant ocean, right? Because they're advertising for thousands of people. It's not just for you. For instance, if you were, on the suburb, on the outside of the city, but the advertising was hitting in the city of Boston, it's not really going to benefit you out in New Hampshire, is it? So this happens sometimes. Now, there was a situation that was interesting because what happens with a lot of these companies, they have these big pools of money, right? Because they're just collecting money from all the franchisees every week, and they're putting it in this big fund. Sometimes they use the money for other things, not marketing and advertising like they're supposed to. Because, oh my God, you're taking money from me saying it's for marketing. I would think you should be using it for freaking marketing, right? But that doesn't happen all the time. And I just wrote down here, Meineke Muffler actually had the franchisees sued the Meineke brand for this exact thing. They said that they were messing around with the marketing fund money, and the franchisees lost. Think about this. The judge awarded that the brand did nothing wrong, and they had no fiduciary responsibility to report what it was doing with the money to the franchisees. Oh, that's a kick in the pants. So the brand gets to tell you that they're taking your money and using it for this purpose, but if they deem they want to use it for another purpose, you're shit out of luck. Oh, that's crazy. Now, termination. So you bought into a brand, right? You bought into a brand. If they feel like you're not upholding the brand standards, they can terminate you, right? If you're late on those royalty payments. Now, if they decide to do a marketing plan that didn't work for you, like sell something for $1 and you lost money on it, tough shit. Make your royalty payments, right? So now if you're late on those royalty payments, they can terminate. They actually can take your business and sell it to somebody else. That's called refranchising, right? So they take the business back for you, they sell it to someone else, you're stuck with the debt, and they make money on the transactions and the fees to take it from you and sell it to somebody else, right? So very scary that you could be put in that type of a situation with a franchise. And then the last piece, which is called a non-compete. So let's say you decide, I'm done for whatever reason, or I want to move on to something else, or I got a great idea and I can't do it with this brand, so I'm going to sell and then I'm going to go do my idea. In every franchise agreement that I've ever seen, there's a 2-year non-compete within a certain mile radius. So if you sell your business to somebody else, you can't compete in a like brand within a certain demographic. Now, if you leave the state, you're probably okay. But that's the length that they're going to protect their brand. So that is 10 reasons why, hell no, you may want to think twice about doing a franchise. All right, ciao for now. We'll see you next week.